This is my E36 BMW Pro Drift car. So this is still running the stock BMW 2.5 litre straight 6 motor with a Pulsar G30 660 turbo on it, making 270 kilowatts or 360 horsepower at the wheels on 14 PSI of boost. I literally haven't touched this thing since the LZ World Tour, and our drift season here starts in just 4 weeks with round 1 of the Keep It Reet competition, and well, this thing needs a lot of love. I have quite a big list of things that I want to upgrade in this car so that this car will be super reliable for the upcoming drift season. But one of the massive things that I want to change is the way it sounds. I actually don't mind the way it sounds on limiter and when it's dosing with the turbo, but throughout the rev range, it doesn't sound the best. And that's because of the way that our turbo manifold is made. As you can see here, we've got one runner that is so much longer than the other runners. This has actually been an amazing manifold. Damon from GMF Fab made it, and I've had absolutely no issues with it. The only reason that we're changing it is for the sound. So from my understanding, we want to get the runners as equal length as possible to get a little bit better of a sound out of this motor. Like I mentioned earlier, we're running on a budget with this thing. I don't throw every penny that I have into drifting for the whole season because, of course, we have cars that we want to build on this YouTube channel throughout the year. And not all of those cars are based around drifting, even though we typically end up drifting most of the cars we build anyway, but that is besides the point. So instead of buying a whole new manifold, we are actually going to just modify this manifold. Chop this runner off, run it down to here so it collects way further back, and then run pipe to the T3 manifold. The turbo is going to sit in the exact same spot. Cosmetically, the car actually doesn't look too bad. We have one wee door rub down here from Jason Ferrin, but around the back here is one part of the car that I've just not been overall happy with anyway in terms of the looks, but as you can see, she's a little bit cactus. This is where Jimmy Oakes hit us when our gearbox decided that it didn't want to select gears anymore at the LZ World Tour. I actually really don't like this ducktail spoiler, so we're going to be getting rid of it, and I have a really cool idea for quite a unique style of spoiler on this thing that we're going to be doing for the upgrade. So this rebuild is really all about fixing little issues that we have found over the past season to make this car bigger and better. We're going to change the livery on the car as well, so heaps of changes going on. And then the interior is where I really want to make some huge improvements. Reseal everything up, new steering wheel, new harnesses, maybe new seats depending on how we're going, new hydraulic handbrake, and overall just completely tidying up the interior of this car to have it feel much more like a professional drift car. I'm sorry that there was so much talking in that segment, but right now we're going to get to work. Before we start stripping down the car, we're going to fix up the rear, get it nice and straight so that that's all ready to go. Then we'll start pulling everything off the car. So let's get to frickin' work. You gotta be real careful with this thing when you are wearing shoes with no toes, because this is heavy and it could break toes very quickly. So after many swear words, with the porta power and the welder, we're in a pretty good spot with the rear end now to where it should be fairly straight. Boom. Look at that. That's actually so good. The boot gap here is actually because the bracket needs to be adjusted because it's sitting a little high, so I can fix that up. We're definitely getting rid of this rear wing. I do not like it, but the gaps everywhere, like, sweet. We're back to good now, which is awesome. This is the really exciting part because I have a pretty cool vision for how I want this car to look once it's all done. And whilst the kits themselves won't change much, the overall look of the car is going to change drastically. So I'm very, very pumped. Let's get to work tearing down the car. This intercooler bracket, by the way, we sell them on twostepgarage.com. So freaking good. Holds an oil cooler up top, intercooler here, absolutely amazing. They're out of stock at the moment because they're so popular. They'll be back in stock in the next couple of weeks. So the exterior of our car is fully torn down as much as I need it to be to do the modifications that we're gonna do to it. But before we carry on, I thought I'd just reflect on a DM that I got on Instagram today from someone, which I thought was quite interesting, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have the exact same question. So basically the dude said he'd gone into drifting, he's trying to make it, and basically he asked how someone makes it in drifting in Australia, to the point where I guess you're not paying everything out of your own pocket to go drifting. And it did take me a little while to think up the reply. But basically what I said was, there is no such thing as making it in drifting in Australia at the moment. Whilst drifting is growing very quickly in Australia, a lot of brands and stuff are still hesitant to put a lot of money into drifting. Obviously, as it grows and gets bigger, brands will come on board and more money will come into the sport. But as it sits at the moment, even your biggest pro guys in drifting are still putting a lot of their own money into their programs to be able to continue to drift. So even though there are pro drifters out there, they're actually still paying a lot of money out of their own pocket. Definitely myself included. So my advice to him and to anyone else who's looking to get into drifting and hopefully maybe make it sustainable, instead of going drifting and trying to impress people with my drifting skills, because I knew that it would take a long time to develop my skills, I always worked on building my following. So I started the YouTube channel, worked hard on Instagram, built my following. So even though I'm not the best drifter, I always knew that if I had a big following, I would get brands on board. You don't actually have to win, especially in drifting, to be popular or be successful. And I honestly couldn't do it without brands like Autobahn, SP Tools, Raceworks, TR Performance, PowerTune Digital. But all those brands wouldn't have come on board with me without seeing the effort that I'd put in, the following that I'd built, and the value that I can give back to them. So I guess my advice to anyone who's looking to make it in drifting or any sport really is, work hard on building your following, because that gives you leverage with brands to do deals, have them come on board, help you out, and at least support your program throughout the year. I hope you guys enjoyed my rant there, but I just wanted to share a little bit of knowledge that I've built up over the years. But now back to the car. So it's completely naked now. The thing I love about the E36 is that you can remove the front, so you have full access to the motor. I'm gonna go ahead and replace some pulleys, do a little bit of servicing stuff, and really make this engine bay beautiful again. We're gonna add some Racework stuff. But the last thing we're gonna do before we end this video is strip out the interior. Less talking, more dancing. Let's go. The advantage of having no rear window, straight through and undo the harnesses without having to climb over a cage. Goodbye. Would you look at that? The interior is fully stripped, ready for us to make some beautiful modifications in here. I'm not a massive fan of this Chase Bays hydro, so we'll be pulling this handle out and putting a GK Tech handle in. As you can see, like, heaps of oily residue has gotten into the cabin via little holes everywhere because we had a bit of a leak in the engine and the gearbox, and it's just made the whole interior a bit messy. And I'm really wanting to tidy this space up and make it feel a lot more professional and clean on the inside. And I cannot freaking wait to repaint the interior of this car. I did it with cans last time. This time we'll be doing it with a gun and doing it in a single stage gloss white paint so that it's really nice and thick and heavy duty. Very excited. And that is it for the first part of the rebuild of our 2024 E36 budget pro drift car. I'm definitely happy with today's progress. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's absolutely going to be worth it. And I cannot wait for you guys to see the end result and the vision that I have in mind for this thing. I'm gonna try and get a video out every couple of days for at least the next couple of months, because I'm aiming to finish all of our cars. So the next video we're putting out is on the Datsun 280 ZX. We've got some really exciting upgrades coming for that thing. Then we're gonna fix the Evo. We're gonna finish Tara's turbo R34 Skyline. Basically get all these cars done so that they're not just sitting here half done in the shop. And I'm taking you guys all along for the ride. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace! I cannot wait to finish this thing. It's gonna sound and look incredible. Bye!